My name is Savannah Martin, and this is my multi-digit addition and subtraction project. Elementary students solve subtraction problems in many different ways depending on their grade level. Today, I will show you some of these strategies for solving the problem 300 minus 178 for three different grade levels, for second, third, and fourth grade. I'm going to start with second grade with the standard NC.2.MBT.7. The standard says, add and subtract within 1,000, relating the strategy to a written model using concrete models or drawings, strategies based on place value, properties of operations, or relationships between addition and subtraction. Second grader students tend to use the concrete models, the drawings, the place value strategies, and so on to solve subtraction problems. And this is what it looks like. I will be using a concrete model called base 10 blocks. As you can see, I have my problem written right here, and I already have my 300 in base 10 blocks in the red. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to regroup over here. And as I do that, I'm going to regroup with my base 10 blocks. The first place I have to look is the ones column. And I know that I cannot subtract 8 from 0. So I look over and I can't regroup because there's a 0 in that one. So I know I have to bring this to a 2. And this to a 10. I'm going to go ahead and switch my color now so it's easier for you guys. And I'm going to regroup that as a 9. And this is a 10. So now that I've done it over here, I'm going to do it over here. So the first thing I had to do was change 300 to 200. So I'm going to mark out one of those, and I'm going to have 10 tens because I'm decomposing that 100. Most students know how to decompose 100 because they've already learned that 10 tens equal 100, 10 ones equal a 10. But if you have issues with this, you could always use snap cubes as a different manipulative for them, or you could have them use manipulatives in real life instead of virtual. So now that I have my 100 decomposed into 10 tens, I now know that I have to decompose my 10 into a 9. So I'm gonna take away one of these, and this is now gonna become 10 of the little ones. And I'm just gonna make these green so it matches my problem to the right of the screen. I find it easier to color code. So now that I've decomposed as I'm working on dragging them over, I can easily subtract the numbers. The decomposing of the numbers really help the students, and it's easy to do them on an algorithm and using the manipulatives like the base 10 blocks. So as I'm finishing up here, I am going to look over here at my problem, and I'm going to see that 10 can have 8 subtracted from it, and I know that that is 2. So I'm going to go over here and model by marking out 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that leaves me with 2. Most students would mark them out before they write it over here, so I'm going to show you what that looks like using the tens. So I have 9 tens left because we already marked that one out. minus 7. So if I go over here and mark out 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That leaves me with 2 base 10 blocks. So 9 minus 7 is 2. And lastly, I have 2 minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out one of those. And that leaves me with one of the hundreds. So with all of that being done, I can now understand that 300 minus 178 equals 122. The concrete materials really help the students because they can mark out or decompose the blocks as they're solving the problem. So now we're going to be moving on to 3rd grade, and we are going to be looking at the standard NC.3.MBT.2. And this standard states, to add and subtract whole numbers up to and including 1,000, use estimation strategies to assess reasonableness of answers, model and explain how the relationship between addition and subtraction can be applied to solve addition and subtraction problems, and use expanded form to decompose numbers and then find sums and differences. So I'm going to be using a number line for this one, and my number line is to 410. So now I'm going to decompose one of my numbers, and I'm going to choose to decompose 178 because it's a more complex number than 300, I believe. So to do so, I'm going to say that 178, it equals 70, and it equals 8. So now that I have my number decomposed, I think it'll be easier to represent it on the number line. So to do so, I'm going to do my first jump, and I just have to go and grab my jump over here. So I'm going to place my jump on the highest number, which is 300, and use my first number, 100, to jump back. So I've jumped back 100, and now I'm just going to mark that out because that jump is done. Okay. So since I've already jumped my 100, now I'm going to jump 70. So I'm going back, so it needs to be in the red. So I'm going to line this up with 200 because that was my last number, and I'm going to go back 70. And this leaves me at 130. So now that I've done 130, I have an 8 that I can show. So I know that 10 is a little bit more than 8. So I'm going to do a jump of 10. And now that I've done that jump, I need to figure out how much more is 10 than 8. So I'm going to do 10 minus 8, and I know that that is 2. So now I am at 120. So this is where I landed. But I know that I am 2 more than where I landed because I jumped by 10. So 120 plus 2 equals 122. And now I'm going to go ahead and mark this off. And I have used all my numbers that have been decomposed from 178. And I made 3 jumps. And my final answer is 122. Now that we've explored 2nd grade and 3rd grade, we're going to move on to our last grade, which is 4th grade. And we're going to be looking at the standard NC.4.MBT.4. And this standard is add and subtract multi-digit whole numbers up to and including 100,000 using the standard algorithm with place value understanding. A really important thing within the fourth grade is using the standard algorithm. Up until the fourth grade, students are mainly focused on comprehension and understanding place value. That's why if you look at the standard, it says with place value understanding. However, when you get to the fourth grade, they want you to use the standard algorithm. So I'm just going to go ahead and write out my problem, which is 300 minus 178. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my ones place, and I can't subtract 8 from 0, so I'm going to look at my tens to regroup, but I can't subtract 7 from 0, so I'm going to look at my hundreds, and I can regroup from there. So I'm going to make that a 2 and that a 10. But that still didn't fix my problem in my ones place. So I'm going to make this a 9 and this a 10. Now I can easily solve the problem using the standard algorithm. The process of regrouping is extremely important while using this algorithm. So 10 minus 8 is 2. 9, you have to make sure you use 9 instead of 10. That's a common mistake made by fourth grade students. 9 minus 7 is 2. And lastly, 2 minus 1 is 1. If students are having difficulty using the standard algorithm, they can use previously learned strategies and they're still appropriate. But the standard algorithm is defined by its steps, not by the way those steps are recorded in writing. So variations and methods are acceptable. So students could do this differently and still get the right answer while using the standard algorithm. I hope everyone learned something about the second, third, and fourth grade multi-digit addition and subtraction using the problem 300 minus 178. I hope you guys took away some tips and you guys saw into the mind of a second, third, and fourth grader.